Hey guys, how's it going? It's a rainy day. As you can see, we're in the car again. 60 degrees in December, little concerning. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Today I want to talk about this idea that I have that I feel like is something that can apply to everyone. I think there's these three pillars, right, that when you're trying to become something, become someone, change something about yourself, I think there's these three things that you want to focus on, in a sense, or think about, right? And so I think it's time, the time that you put into things. I think it's relationships, the kind of relationships that you have, who you're choosing to have relationships with, and then also values. What are the things that you value? What are the things that are truly most important to you, that you hold dear? And so when I talk about these things, I talk about the fact that we all have this idea of who we are, right? The things that we value, and this idea of who we want to become, right? And what I think we often don't realize is that the person we are, the things that we do, often don't align with whoever we're trying to become. And so to come back to those three pillars, I think one of the biggest ones, time. What are you putting your time into, right? If your goal is to, I guess I'll just speak personally, right? My goal is to become a great chef, right? And so that can be who I want to be. But how much time am I actually putting into that, right? If that is my dream, my end goal, what am I doing today to make that a reality, right? How much am I actually cooking? How much am I reading about food principles? How much am I watching videos? How much am I intaking? How much does cooking, how much does that dream actually take up? How much time does it take up in my life? I think we often have this idea of things that we want, but if we actually look at the time that we put into said things, it takes up a very minimal amount of our life, right? If you want to, I don't know, get in the fucking NBA, if you want to, even just smaller things, like you want to go to the gym more, right? You want to have a fit body, or you want to, whatever dream it is, right? How much of your life actually involves that, right? How much work are you actually putting into it, right? Because if you were to break your life down, your day-to-day, into a timetable, right? Let's say you wake up at 6 a.m., 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, right? All the way until you go to bed at, 10 o'clock. How much of that time is actually allocated to the things that you want, right? The person that you're trying to become. I think if you take a second to actually think about that, we realize that not much of it does go to those things, right? We put so much more time and effort into things we don't care about, right? Into these things that don't matter, whether it's social media, it's doom scrolling, or it's partying, or it's whatever it is. When you take an active and self-aware look at what you're actually putting your time into, you realize the things that you want aren't actually that important to you, right? Because if they were, they would take up so much more of your life. And so I think in realizing that and being aware of that, what you have to start to do is make your dreams, make that thing that you want to do, that person that you want to become, make it a much greater portion of your life, of your day-to-day. Personally, one of my favorite artists is J. Cole. And something that he preaches about is constantly putting in the effort, right? Even at his stage, where most people would say he's reached the pinnacle of success, right? That's about as high as you can get as a rapper and as a musician. And every day regardless of what he's doing, he's writing a verse, right? He's writing a song. Music takes up so much of his life, right? He's putting time into it every single day. And the idea isn't to be making leaps and bounds with whatever you're doing, but to be doing it every day, to make it a portion of your life, not just an idea in your head. And I think that's really important to think about, to be aware of, and to put into practice. To talk about the next two, relationships, right? I think we all have this idea of the kind of person we want to be, right? But in a sense, you are who you choose to surround yourself with. And so I think something to think about is, do the people that you surround yourself with align with who you want to be? Do they align with the kind of people that you would want around yourself, right? Do they, when you think about your friends, your closest friends, or even your family members, and you think about this idea that you have of yourself, are they the kind of people that would be around that person, right? If your idea is to be someone who's successful, who's hardworking, who's disciplined, right? And everyone that you surround yourself with is lazy, not hardworking, or they make excuses, you can't expect to be the odd one out, right? You can't expect to constantly be surrounding yourself with people of one trait, of one character type, and at the same time expect to not be a culmination of that, to not emulate those same traits. And I think you start to realize, right, that you are a representation of everyone that's been in your life and everyone who is currently in your life. And I think you can make you could have a big realization and understanding of like why you are where you are now, just by looking at who you have around you. You know, I know personally, I used to be a horrible student from like elementary through the end of middle school. Elementary school doesn't matter as much because you're just a kid, but like middle school, I was a horrible student. I would barely, especially around like 8th grade, would barely do my homework. I would like wait until the very last minute to do projects, or I'd be turning them in a week late. And I was borderline failing classes. I was averaging like C's, D's. I'd be lucky to get a B, and it was probably in gym or something. And then I went to high school, and my entire circle changed like that. And as soon as it did, I changed as a person. I went from averaging C's and D's to becoming a straight A student. And of course, part of that was me putting in the work, right? And realizing that like I didn't want to be that student anymore. But also, I think an even larger part of it was that everyone around me were achievers. They were high achievers. They were people that wanted good grades. They were people that, you know, were averaging those A's and those A pluses, those 90s and 95s on tests, you know? And so there's a natural part of you, there's a natural part of you that wants to assimilate, that wants to align, that wants to fit in with whatever. It's just human instinct, right? And so if everyone around you is fucking flunking, then you're gonna flunk, right? But if everyone around you is high achievers, they are in clubs, they're class president, they're leading groups, they're straight A's, they're doing extracurriculars and all of this stuff, a part of you is going to start to pick up on that. And you're going to start to do it because you want to be able to relate, to fit in with what is now your normal, what is now the culmination of your circle. And so now, right, I would go back to middle school and visit my teachers and tell my teachers that, oh, I finished the top of my class this semester, and I just won class president, and I'm in line. I'm in the running for valedictorian my freshman and sophomore year. And it was like, they were appalled to hear that. But what changed, I didn't change fundamentally as a person, right? It's not like I suddenly became a phenomenal student. It was that everyone around me was achieving those things. And so I felt the need to align myself with that. And not only align myself with that, but compete in a sense. And so I think it's the best thing you can do is take an honest look at who you are and an honest look at the people around you and ask yourself, would the person I want to be have these people around, right? Do these people push me to be that person, to achieve things? Are they like-minded, or are they people that are going to keep me where I am? And yeah, the last thing I want to talk about is values, right? And I think this pretty much ties back into the last two, but it's important to think about the things that you value, right? You value your family, you value your friend, you value honesty, you value kindness, whatever it is, all of those things. And so something that I realized myself in taking kind of a bird's eye view look at my life, right? I had this idea of the things I valued, right? I value my family. I value my goals. I value quality friendships, things like that. I had this idea of the things I value, but in taking a real look at my life, those things take up a very minimal portion of it. You know, I adore my family. I speak so highly of them. I wouldn't be in the position I am without my family. They do so much for me, and they're incredibly supportive. And I think I'm so incredibly blessed to have so many good long-term friends. And what I was realizing is, in getting older and being in college and living that college experience, I began to fall in the trap of like having a lot of friends, right? And doing things all the time with all these different people. And it's like, oh, I have all these friends and I'm popular, whatever. And what I came to realize is like, in a sense, those numbers, those friends, right? It's an aesthetic in a sense, right? It looks good. Oh, Trent, everybody knows Trent, Trent's cool. People can talk about me and they're like, oh, you know him, yada, 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 right? It looks good. It feels good. But in reality, what does it mean? It doesn't have any depth to it. And so something I realized is that if I truly value those close relationships, those friends that I've known since I was a kid, those ones that have been there for me in my worst moments and have supported me and just been there for me when no one else was, and especially my family, my incredible family, if I truly value them, then the right thing to do would be to put my time, put my effort into them, into developing those relationships, into deepening them, right? Because I can't have this idea of, oh, what's most important to me? My family, my close friends, those relationships. But I haven't seen my family in a year because I'm in school and I'm working and I'm putting so much time into myself and meeting new people that I'm putting them on the back burner. And what you come to realize is that like those are what's most important, right? And maybe for you that's not. Maybe you value those friendships. Maybe you value having a lot of friends. And if that's the case, that's fine. I'm not here to tell anyone what should be important to you, but I am here to tell you to take an honest look at what's important to you, what you do value, and what you're actually putting your time, effort, energy into. And if those things align, right? If the idea that you have of yourself or who you want to be aligns with your current being, right? Your current actions, the time that you put your things into, who you are right now. And I think in taking an honest look at that, you know which aspects of life you need to change, and where you can start to shift your focus. So that's all I have to say today, guys. Hope everyone's doing good. Christmas is coming up. It's the holiday season, and yeah, it's a happy time. So best wishes, peace and love. See you guys next week.